there. And we're going to end the show. Got about a few seconds left. Next week, we will have guests. We'll have a mini concert. We should have 2 or 3 different people singing with myself. It'll be fun. See you all next week.
Good evening and welcome to Rock, Paper, Hand Grenades. I'm your host, Joshua Solomon, and with me, as always, is the Honorable J.P. Marzullo.
Good evening.
How you doing, J.P.?
I'm doing okay. You can see I have all my...
your Navy gear on?
Yeah, my Navy gear. The big Army-Navy game is this weekend. I just wanted to say to Jeff Chittister, go Navy, beat Army. Because every time he's on, he waits till he gets up and leaves, and then he says it on the way out. And of course, Chris Bright and Chris Ager. Good luck, guys. It should be a fun game, though.
All right.
So we almost have summer again, right? Or spring coming? What's going on here?
I don't know, but it's wet. It's raining.
It's horrible.
I don't know. As always, Rock, Paper, Hand Grenades is sponsored by the Wilson Hill Pistol Club. WilsonHillPistol.org. You can go there and get information about the club. We are open membership. We don't have a waiting list like other clubs in the state. We have a private pistol range, and we have training. Members get discounts on training. Our next training class is this Saturday. It is the Fundamentals in Safety Training. It is your basic firearms class. And you can find out all about it at the website, which should be on your screen if you're watching this online. Tonight, so JP, we do this every year. I did this every year with Gary. This season we have regular guests,
Yep.
and our 2 regulars are the shows just before Christmas, where we have the Liberty House come on. That's one tradition. And then next week, we'll have Pastor Walter Muddy to give us our Christmas show. And so today, we do have a representative from the Liberty House. Once again, Ashley Kitchell. How you doing, Ashley?
Actually, we have 2 representatives.
Okay, we have 2.
So
I
why don't you
forgot.
bring our second guest up? Come on, Ezra.
There we go. Whoa,
not all the way up, just a little bit.
It's too slippery. Just get his paws up. Not all the way.
Just 2 paws.
There he is.
Oh, there we go.
Is he all right?
Oh, he's fine.
Yeah. So
We make him do all kinds of crazy things, so that was nice.
yeah, that was good, right? Yeah. So I just found out, by the way, that Ashley is now the assistant director at Liberty House, which I'm really proud of. I'm sure she is.
Yeah.
But I think that's great. You hung in there. I can't say enough. So proud of what you guys have done.
Going on 8 years with Liberty House. It's crazy.
Amazing,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Time
So
flies.
what's new? What's going on? We can go back and where you started and where you are now, and
Gosh,
whatever.
so 8 years ago, we were over at West Baker Street,
Yeah.
a tiny little vintage farmhouse. I think we had 8 guys there.
Yeah.
And, oh my goodness.
Well, that is,
That across from the
is that the
projects.
original house?
That
That's
was
the
Yeah, that
original
was.
house that
Yeah.
was donated.
Yes.
Yep, yep. By the
by-
Pachosa family,
Right.
Yep.
And,
Yes.
and it was in her
the family trust.
brother's name.
Yep,
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 you
Harold
got it.
Pachosa.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
Yep. Yeah, the doors opened there April 1st, 2004. And
Wow.
I think we officially moved out September 1st of 2020. So we were
Yep.
there for a good 15 years.
Yeah, I remember you
before we moved
had
on.
bunks for the guys. There wasn't enough room, right?
Oh, there was never enough room. It was so tiny, so I mean, they made do. We helped a
Oh, yeah.
lot of veterans in
Yeah,
that house.
yeah, you did.
So that was huge. But merging with Catholic Charities in 2019 and going through our mission renovate restore of the building that we're in now, it's been such a blessing. And we now have 18 guys that live with us.
Oh, wow.
So
That's
a
great.
huge upgrade. Our pantry it's been booming. We have like over 500 vets that are registered with us, which
Oh,
is
that's great.
It's wonderful. It's sad.
It's sad, but it's great.
It's sad that the need is so high, but we're very lucky and fortunate to be able to help as many as we do.
Yeah, so tell people how that works, because there's 500 that you kind of give food to and clothing, and
Yeah.
might be giving them a little idea.
Yeah,
of
so
what-
our pantry is located right at 221 Orange Street. It's in the basement, technically, of our current building. You only have to show up one time to register with us. Bring a copy of your DD-214 or VA card. If you don't have either of those, we can help get veteran status approval. We can apply for your DD-214 as well. So you only have to get registered that one time, and you can come shop every week. We have items, food, clothing, hygiene products, toilet paper. I mean, things that people don't think of. Underwear, socks. It's all the little things that I think people forget about.
So do they get? I'm this kind of losing my mind with this, but don't they get like some kind, not real money, but don't they trade in?
It goes,
Are you still doing that?
It's
Yeah.
a point system.
Okay, that's
yeah.
what it was,
So people, you still check out, so we can. It's a good way for us to track inventory
Yeah.
on things that we're putting out and versus what's coming in. It really shows what the need is too. It changes constantly. Spam has been a huge need, a huge want by our community vets recently.
Not the computer spam, but just
No. The canned meat
The
spam.
canned
Yeah,
spam.
people love it. So it's a really good kind of way to see what we're getting in and what's going out and what the high needs are at the
So
time.
do you still have your want list on the website?
Always,
Yeah,
yes.
that changes weekly sometimes,
It does.
right?
It really
Yeah.
does. Really, the staples, that things that we always want, always need: spam, canned chicken, snacks. Snacks are a huge piece too. We have a lot of families, veteran families, so a lot of kids, they need the snacks to go to school, or
Right.
like Christmas vacations coming up. Kids are going to be home. They're eating a lot of snacks, so we go through those very quickly too. But really, the staple items are always on our Facebook page or our website, and then kind of as the needs fluctuate, we update it as much as possible.
Yeah, I mean it's incredible how much is done there.
Yeah, the
It's just-
need for the pantry is just, I mean, I think in the last 18 months, we've registered over 160 new veterans.
Yeah.
People that are coming to us and saying, I've never been in this situation before.
Yeah.
Help.
Yeah.
So-
Well, one thing that we've done, I mean, throughout the year, we talk about Liberty House multiple times.
Yeah.
Under different auspices. I mean, we had VFW folks in here. We had
Yep. American Legion
American
folks.
Legion folks in here. We talk about veterans quite a bit, and we talk about the services that are available to veterans. And this is one that we highlight quite a bit, because it's close to us. And the number of people that come through, and we hear that people don't know.
Yeah.
People don't know that these services are out there. So it's good to hear that, maybe in some way we're helping to spread that word, because it sounds like the need is expanding.
Absolutely.
But is the need really expanding, or is the visibility for Liberty House getting greater? Like,
Yeah.
people now know that it's there as a
Yeah.
resource.
I think it's a little bit of both. I mean, I think just the economy right now, housing prices are so outrageous, the food prices are so outrageous. So we see a lot of older vets, a lot of people that are on fixed incomes.
Yeah.
So with all the prices going up, they're limited as to what they can actually spend their money on. So if we can be a resource for them to try to relieve some of that stress, I mean, that's huge for us.
I see. So you're seeing a lot of, again, older vets who
Yeah.
aren't necessarily in a homeless situation, but they're
just on fixed incomes and
looking for other ways to
they need to
I gotcha.
supplement in some way. So
And
Yeah.
do most of the guys have jobs that you have now in the house? You said you had 18. Do
that
they
are
all have
working.
jobs?
Oh my goodness! So it's been crazy. We've had quite a big transition period this last few months. We've had multiple guys graduate and move on, which is so heartwarming and
Yeah.
sad because the guys, they really become part of our family.
Sure.
I mean, Liberty House is very family oriented. We celebrate every birthday, graduation,
Yeah.
every milestone, every job, everything. So when they're with us for about a year, most of them. Some a little more, kind of depending on circumstances. Some a little less. So when they move on, it's heartwarming but sad.
And now you're following them for up to a year, right?
Yeah,
You've hired,
yes.
why don't you explain
Tree
that?
is her name. Yep, she is our
Tree.
aftercare specialist. She was actually a volunteer with us. She just graduated from St. Anselm's College. And so she, spring semester last year, spent all of her time working with us, getting to know the pantry, getting to know the program, and she just stood out. She was so wonderful. And when this position came available, we said, you really need to come in and interview. And she blew the interview out of the park. She was wonderful. And so it's been a really nice transition to have her on our team.
Yeah.
So currently she's working with, I think, 6 or 7 guys, because we just had a few move out. So she really works with them kind of in their last few months that they're with us, trying to determine where do they want to live. Do they want to stay in Manchester? Do they want to go outside of Manchester? We've had some guys, like we just had a guy move back to Maryland. That's where his family's from. We have
Right.
another guy that's moving to Florida. That's where he has family. So kind of figuring out where they're going, what they can afford, what does the budget look like.
Yeah.
Getting all of their utilities connected, making sure that they have their resources in their areas too. So
That they're moving into.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
really important, so that they're not going somewhere blind.
Yeah.
And so she's making connections with landlords and really trying to build that relationship, build that trust, and really
So
connecting.
is John Roller's group, where they would place people, is he still involved at all, or is he?
So
I think he's retiring soon or something. But
yeah, I believe so.
Yeah.
I think he's been trying to retire for a couple of years now. We use John's Roller Express Employment a lot in the past. We still have used them a few times recently. We've had a lot of luck with our guys. A lot of our guys have come to us either with jobs in the past
Yeah.
that they're able to go back to, or just the VA has been a huge help with us. Their CWT program, so that's the compensated work therapy.
Yeah.
They actually just changed it to, it's like TSIS now, the acronym. So a lot of our guys go there to really stabilize. They need those first really 6 months to go to their appointments, get their dental,
Yeah.
get all their essential documents,
driver's license.
all of
and
that stuff. Yeah, so they
DD-214s
really need to
and-
stabilize before they can get out into the workforce. So the CWT up at the VA has been a huge kind of transition piece for a lot of our guys.
I'm encouraged by you saying them getting back to their families, because I think that's really key in getting them to take the next step. Some of them have had problems with their families because of
Absolutely.
the way they lived, right? Because they were homeless. So that's really encouraging that you're working on that, because I think that's the biggest part. You know, if somebody comes in with PTSD, that's probably something you need to take a hard look at.
Yeah, like I said, we try to make it very family oriented,
Yep.
so they become part of our family. But we also love them to bring their families
reach out,
in.
yeah.
So like we just had Thanksgiving a couple weeks ago, and a lot of our guys brought in family members,
Oh, nice.
kids, wives, grandkids.
That's awesome.
So I think we had like almost 50 people there.
Wow.
So it was a busy day, but it was a lot of fun. So we do that. We try to do that a couple times a year. Thanksgiving, we do a couple barbecues. We
Yep.
really want them to be able to bring their families in and see that they're safe and that they're doing well and they're healthy and that they're just growing, and so they can continue to build that relationship back with them.
That's
yeah.
fantastic.
Yep. And it helps to have the dog. I mean, that always draws people in. Everyone wants to come see Ezra. So.
Yeah, yeah.
Helps make it a home.
So is Ezra is a companion dog for the facility?
So his
how did-
official title is a facility dog. So he is a trained service dog, but me being his handler, and I don't have a disability that he works with me on, he works with a multitude of people. So a little different than a therapy dog because he actually performs tasks. So he can like pick items up. He does different pressure therapies. Like before, when he was in here and he had his head on your lap, that's one of his pressures that he does. So he does that. He does like half body. He'll do his full body. And he can turn on light switches and open doors and drawers. So that kind of differentiates him from a therapy dog from a service dog / facility dog.
I see.
But the guys love him. We've had him, Ezra's been with us like 2.5 years now.
So tell
She's
people
talking
how
about
you
you.
got him, how you got involved with that group
Yeah.
in Florida, right? Is that
New York.
New York,
Yeah.
okay.
So he's from Canine Companions. So Canine Companions, they're based out of California. And they have 6, they may have 7 now, training sites all throughout the country. So he was bred specifically to be a service dog. They breed all of their own dogs. They're very specific with bloodlines, health lines, all of that. So they breed specifically Goldens and Labs. So he looks full Golden, but he has got a little bit of Lab in him. And it's funny, they say Goldens tend to flunk out because they're excitable, they're happy, they're just such a family dog. So that's why he was born in 2020, and that's the year that we applied for him. So it took a full 1.5 years for us to go through the whole process. Very long process. They're very strict with who they pick and where they place their dogs, which I love. I think that's beautiful.
Yeah. Didn't you have to go and spend a week or two with him?
I had to go down for 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Yeah, to be matched with him. Yeah, down in Long Island.
So did he pick you or did you pick him?
That was interesting.
How does that work? That's interesting.
He was the only Golden in the bunch, and they walked him out. So there was actually 5 of us that were getting matched with dogs during that 2-week period. And there was 9 dogs that they of march in, and you kind of work through all of them. They want to see, they have built, from the first phone call that you have with this company, Canine Companions, they start building a profile for you get to know you, get to know your personality, what you do for work, who you work with. It's an amazing process, and when you're down there and you get to know the trainers, you can kind of see the gears are always turning with them.
Yeah.
It was pretty incredible. So he was the only Golden that walked in, and I was like, I love him, I want him. We had no idea what their names were, if they were males or females, and so he was actually the first one that I worked with.
Oh,
and
wow.
then
so you had to work with some of the other dogs as well?
all 9. They work
All
you through
9.
all 9. Yep, that first day.
Wow.
It's just really testing out
So
who
what
it is.
What do they look for in that companionship that would either say, hey, they belong together, or they definitely don't belong together? What are they looking for?
I think they just look for a connection. One of the funny things is that throughout the whole time we were down there and training and working, his eyes were locked on me like the whole time. And every picture, he was looking at me. He was looking at the camera, he was looking at me. And they made a joke at, when we did our graduation ceremony at the end, they were taking more pictures. They do all these promotional, like this. He lays on the floor and he just stares at me. And he's just like engaged 24/7. So I think that was kind of one of them. They also see how you react, like he nudges you, he wants attention. That's the type of personality he has. There was a couple other people in the groups that weren't interested in that. They kind of wanted a dog to be seen, not heard, not really engaging.
Really?
But with him and the population that I work with, veterans,
That's perfect.
they're not always the ones that are going to seek out the support. They're not
right.
going to come to you and say, I'm having a bad day.
Right.
So with Ezra, he can go sense that and be like, you're having a bad day. Come here, pet me. Yep, give me attention. Focus on me.
Nice.
Stop
would think
focusing on.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That seems counterintuitive to me, that if you're looking to acquire a service dog or a companion dog or any type of service animal, that you don't want the animal
They
paying attention to you?
Not
That-
necessarily
that
not
seems-
paying attention to you, just not as forceful with their attention seeking. Like he will come over to you, put his head on your lap and say, you're going to focus on me right now. There's other dogs that
Which
will.
he's done several times
Yes.
in the last 10 minutes.
There were a lot of other dogs that just kind of wanted to be near you. They'll
Right.
come and they'll sit by you. I'm here if you need me, but I'm not going to seek you out. But that's kind of what
That's interesting.
those people needed. A couple of those people needed like a security blanket. Like I'm here if you need me, I'm here to kind of distract other people from you because they
Right.
focus on me type of thing.
Right.
Whereas with the guys that I work with, he seeks them out.
Right.
He says, here I am.
Yeah, he'll
love
also
me.
bring you at the
Every toy he has.
at the Christmas tree jubilee they had this last weekend. He came over and brought a toy, and I said to Jeff, does he want me to throw it? He goes, nope. He's going to
likes-
bring you toys, but he doesn't want you to throw
No,
them.
I just want you to see it.
Yeah,
Yep, here's my
here's
toy.
another toy. Do you like this one? Right?
Yeah.
That's his comfort animal. His toys.
I
Yeah.
have two at home. One does that. She will bring you a toy, and she doesn't want you to. She just wants you to acknowledge that she's bringing you something,
Yep.
right?
Yep. Here I am.
And the other one will bring it to you and
Wait till you throw it.
and just paw at you, like raise her paw and and tap you until she's the one who wants the attention. She says, "I'm here, play with me."
Yep.
Yeah.
He's all about attention.
Yeah, and he really, you can see it when you go to Liberty House. You can see his interaction with the men there. It's incredible.
And it's amazing. So they Canine Companions, they train for all different. They have hearing.
Well, that was my next question.
Yeah.
Was hearing blind? Do they train
Yep.
for disabilities?
Yep.
What
Yeah, they do it all.
can they do? Like,
So they have,
what about security for someone who's insecure? Do they train dogs
Yep.
to be like guard
Yep,
dogs?
absolutely.
Like
Not guard
not
dogs.
vicious, but at least to alert and.
So they.
I don't know. I'm just asking.
No, not the guard type. It's
Not-
more supportive. So they have for hearing impaired. They have dogs for the hearing impaired that they train for. They do have a veteran-specific PTSD program. So
wow.
he has some training in that, but he didn't go all the way. I don't know exactly why, but there was something that they said, nope, not fully for him. So he's grasped some things. So like nightmare interruption, which
wow.
is
Right.
a lot of fun in the middle of the night when all of a sudden this 80-pound dog is jumping on your bed because you're having a crazy dream. He
Right.
does it to me. And I don't even have like crazy nightmares, but every once in a while something happens where he is now on my bed in my face with a toy, wake up, wake up, wake up.
Right.
And I didn't get it at first. And then I'm like, what do you want? You just want to play? What's going on? It's 2 a.m. Like, what's? And then I'm like, oh. After a couple times that it's happened, it clicked, and then I remembered he has the PTSD training. Again, didn't go all the way, but that was one piece that made him such a good fit for us.
Mm-hmm.
The people that he has the best connections with, he loves everyone. He's a golden, he's a dog. I love attention, I love people, but he has a very special connection with our vets that are combat veterans at the house.
Oh, that's interesting.
And we see it time and time again with the different cycles of guys that come through the house. He always picks one or two guys that's his person. I love everybody. I will say hi to everybody. I will play with everybody. But I have a very special connection with this person or this person. And looking back at all of these guys, they've all been combat veterans.
Oh, wow.
And so it's amazing to see that the training that he has and the personality, it's very specific. And
So you got to meet some of the trainers, obviously.
Yes.
What's their background? I mean, are these veterans or are they?
Nope, because it's not just a veteran-specific program.
Right.
There was actually one of the trainers that we worked with very closely. Her twin sister is in the Navy. So she was very, very sweet and felt very passionate about his placement with us.
Nice.
So that was
So they have
amazing.
like a board or something at the side that you would get, they interview you, they interview
Yep.
the dog.
Yep,
Right?
absolutely.
And then, is that what they do? And then they,
Basically, yeah. So, like I said, as soon as I made the first phone call that I was interested in applying for this dog for this reason, they start building a profile. So you have the first phone call, you do a paper application, you go down and do an in-person interview for a full day. Yeah, so I had to go down to Long Island just for a day to meet the trainers and see the facility and
I
kind
want to
of.
make sure that you're actually real.
Correct.
Because
not a
Yep.
robot, right?
Yep, exactly, and that you're doing what you are actually doing. So they researched the website, they researched our Facebook,
wow.
they researched my personal social media to make sure, again, that I am a legit person, that I
Right.
don't have a crazy history of God knows what. And so, yeah, they're very, very specific. And so they're building the profile on me, what I'm looking for, what my company, my facility is looking for, and yes, hi, buddy. And just continuing to build the profile. And then when you're down there, you work through all those dogs, and then all the trainers go back into a meeting that night, and they play who matches what best. And they say it takes hours, they said.
I'm sure, yeah.
So it seems. So is it normal? Like, I feel like if you're being paired with a companion dog or a service dog, that most people down there had some other disability or reason personally to need this animal.
Yeah. So the
but
group
for someone like yourself who runs a group home or is that something that is normal, or do they put you through a little bit more? Because wait a minute, this person isn't disabled, but they want to be a handler for.
It's a good question. So we had kind of a mix
I just wonder
in my group.
How often that situation occurs.
So
like, did they say, "Oh, we've
had-
never had this before"?
No, I think it's fairly common. Actually, 2 people in my group were getting their second dog. They had already had a dog that had then retired, and now this was their second dog that they were getting placed with. So there was 5 of us, and so myself, a facility dog. There was another gentleman there who was getting a facility dog. He worked in special education in a middle school. Okay. So he was getting a dog for his special education classroom. We had a physical therapist there. So they were getting a dog. They had another dog in the same hospital that they had gotten through Canine Companions, and it was such a great fit, helping patients, really motivating them. They can use the dog for different tasks they had to do that they wanted a second one. So they were doing that. And then we had 2, I don't even remember what they were called, but they were, one woman had Down syndrome, so she was there with her mother, and they were getting their second dog.
That's awesome.
And so for her, this dog was a way for her to be able to go out in public and feel comfortable. This dog was now kind of her security blanket. He was able to kind of part crowds for her, give her space, open doors, pick stuff up.
Wow.
She was very high functioning, but it was beautiful. And they had already had a dog that had retired, and so seeing how much of a help that the previous dog was, they were getting a second dog.
How did you? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. So you talked about retiring a couple of times. So what does retirement for someone like Ezra look like? Like, does it get to a point where folks notice that they're not doing their job as much, or do they just age out, and then what happens to them? I mean,
yeah. So
just tell me about retirement.
Yeah. So we have to go for testing every year to make sure that he is still performing all of his tasks.
Man, if we could get congressmen, teachers, there's a whole bunch of people I'd like to get tested every year.
Every year.
Retested.
President. I'm sorry.
So
little
he
sidebar there.
has to go down, get tested every year. It's testing for both him and myself to make sure that I know what I'm doing, I'm giving the correct commands, and he's able to follow through on those tasks that I'm asking him to do. They check that. They check his health. They're very engaged. So anytime he goes to the vet, even if he has like an ear infection, they get a report from my vet. So they know, they follow him completely, A to Z. So every year when we go down and do testing, they check his health. They're constantly getting his health records from my vet. They're making sure that he is still doing his tasks appropriately. And then they kind of take what I'm seeing. Am I seeing him slow down? Does he not want to go to work? Is he not engaging with people? That type of thing. So he's only 4.5, so we've gone down for testing twice now. And he's still very, very engaged with people. But it's amazing to see when the vest comes out, he's ready to go. Like, I can ask him to go for a car ride, and he's like, I don't want to. Like, I'll stay home. The vest comes out, he's like, up, let's go. He walks right into it, puts it right on, and he wants to go to work. He knows that putting the vest on means he gets to go to work.
Right.
And he loves it. So that is heartwarming for me that he.
So they have to check his weight, the kind of food you give him, right?
They are so strict with weight, yes, which I love. I think that's great. They're very engaged in their health. They want to make sure that their dogs live healthy lives so that
Yeah.
they can work longer,
Right.
and that they're helping people.
Do the guys like want to sneak him a?
They do. Yep, and they get in a lot of trouble.
What's wrong with that?
So he's on a very special diet.
As he says, I don't mind it when you do
Yeah.
that. I don't
Yes,
mind
he would,
at all.
He would love that. He is very food motivated. He is not really toy motivated. He doesn't love to play fetch. His treats are his dog food, his diet dog food, and he will jump through hoops for that,
Wow.
which is pretty amazing.
So how did you pick that organization? Did you know someone who had a dog? Or?
So it was very interesting. So when so Liberty House is part of New Hampshire CORE, New Hampshire Recovery Residences. And so the director at the time, when we had first become engaged with them, learned about them, wanted to become registered with them, they came in for a tour so we could learn more about them.
Yep.
And Kim was the director there at the time. She was a puppy raiser for Canine Companions.
Oh, wow.
And so she's walking through the house and we're talking about what we do and the guys that we serve. And she said, have you ever thought about getting a dog? And I said, yes. Yes, we have 1,000 times. We've talked about it 1,000,000 times, but it never worked out. It never made sense. And she's like, well, let me tell you about this organization, Canine Companions. And we talked for hours, and she kind of showed us some pictures and some of the dogs that she has raised, because that's the thing, they're with puppy raisers for the first year and a half.
Oh, wow.
And they go through basic obedience school, and then they move on to puppy college, where they're at professional training for about 8 months after that before they get matched. And so Kim had really explained it to us. Then we did a little more research, and it was a long discussion, but we won, huh, Ez? And it just really has changed the dynamics of the house so drastically.
Yeah, I saw that when I came there the other
It's
day.
unbelievable what a dog can do,
Yeah.
and especially a dog like this.
I
So.
noticed him, some woman walked in with a little carriage with a little tiny baby. He dropped everything else and went and looked went to
Oh
the
my
baby.
God,
Like,
yeah.
okay, I got a little 1 mile and now we're going to follow him.
Yep, kids are his kryptonite.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
so
Does
Does he
love
have the
them.
run of the place when he's there?
Yep, yeah, for the
So-
most part.
So
He knows how to open the
not
doors.
necessarily sitting next to you all the time.
No.
He can look across the room and say, "Hey, I want to go talk to that guy."
Yep, absolutely.
Okay.
Can he
So
push the
that's-
buttons on the elevator yet? Has he figured that out?
He could, absolutely. So he kind of has a routine. When we get to work every morning, usually there's guys sitting out front.
Yeah.
He goes and checks in with them. He goes and says hello to everybody, comes in. He has to go in the office because then he wants to get a toy to then go visit people and go, yeah.
his toy,
With his
right.
toy, yep. He needs to have his toy, his little comfort dog, with him. And so then he usually goes down to the dining hall, checks in with the guys. A lot of times they then go outside with him and play with him, run around the backyard. We're very lucky to have such a beautiful backyard that's all fenced in,
Yeah.
that he can play in with the guys. And then just kind of as the day unfolds, it depends on who's coming in. We have a lot of community vets that come in to see us. A lot of times they're not in the best place, and so Ezra will spend a lot of time with them. Our guys, depending on what their schedule's like, if they have appointments, if they're working, it really is just kind of a day-to-day
I
thing
can
as
see
to
how
who.
that would help. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I think all of us at one point or another had anxiety because you're behind on something or
Right.
your mind is on something and you just don't want to be where you are.
Mm-hmm.
And to have someone like Ezra come up and just kind of let the air out a little bit,
Yep.
right?
Yep,
Just calm you
absolutely.
down and say, hey, just take it one step at a time.
I think probably one of the most memorable moments so far with Ezra and kind of helping people is we had a community vet who we have known for years. And he was struggling. He was in a very bad place. He actually came to us and said, I just was about to jump off the bridge and commit suicide. And he said, I stood there for a while and I walked here. And that
Oh,
alone was absolutely heartbreaking. And because he knew Ezra was there and he loves that dog and feels safe with us. And we sat in there with him for hours, and Ezra just sat with him, and he just pet him as he cried and screamed, and we had to figure out and get some higher level of care in place with
Yeah.
him, and he was able to get that help. But for those few hours while we kind of got services in place, Ezra was just there for him. And
That's awesome. Tell our audience a little bit about what do you mean by a community vet?
yeah, so
What is that all about?
That's how we kind of classify the veterans that we work
Yeah.
with. So we have our residents that live with us. So those are our resident veterans that are there with us for about a year, work through the 4-step model, work with case managers, and then we have vets that live out in the community. Those veterans come in for the pantry mostly, but also come in for support, resources, referrals. They need help
shoot
making a
pool
phone
or
call.
to-
shoot pool.
Right,
Yep, we
yeah.
have our rec center that they can come hang
Yeah,
out
it's
in,
awesome, yeah.
it's beautiful. We have an art room so they can come in and do art projects. And sometimes they just want to come in and hang out and see the dog and chat with us and chat with other vets and just have that connection.
That community with their
Yep.
veterans.
Yep.
And isn't the AA program there now? I mean, they used to go to the community AA meetings, and I believe you have one now.
So we do both. So we connect our guys with meetings out in the community.
Right.
Currently, because of the holidays, our meetings are on hold at Liberty House.
Yeah.
But we're hoping to get them back up and running in the new year. But that's a big thing is the vet to vet connection.
Yeah.
So working together and
Because I've heard that seems to be the toughest thing for veterans is losing that connection.
Yeah.
And sometimes those connections aren't the best though.
Absolutely.
And so that's difficult for your staff to make sure that you can get them going in the right direction. And I'm sure there are some who don't reach the end of the program like any other program, but it's been pretty successful
Yeah.
over the years.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think that makes us unique. Sometimes I feel like we get put into the sober home category
Yeah.
because we are a sober living facility,
Right.
but we're a sober living facility for veterans. And I think that makes the guys that come to us, a lot more comfortable because they know I'm not just going to a sober home, I'm going to a veterans home.
Yeah.
I already have that baseline connection with these guys. We've all served. We've all been there, and I think that automatically puts a lot of people at ease.
So are you seeing more younger veterans come now, or are they not ready to admit that they have issues, that they need help?
It's always an interesting mix of guys. For a while there, we had quite an aging population, even within the house.
Yeah.
Really, the average is like mid-30s. For a while, we were missing kind of that 40-year mark, but that seems to have changed now. The biggest thing for us is that age isn't so much the factor, it's the ability and the want and desire to work and get back into society.
Right.
That's huge for us. So we've had guys that are in their 70s and they're still working, and that has never been an issue. It's been great. Keeps them young, I swear.
Yep.
And then we've had guys, I think most recently, we had a guy who was just 21.
Oh, wow.
So that was very young. He just got out of the military this past July. And
Is he still there? Or?
Nope, he's moved on. Yep.
Nice.
He came when he got out of the military in July, and he came home and had nowhere to go. And so he was actually from Washington and kind of traveled across the country and made his way to us and reconnected with his wife. They're both very, very young. So that's the youngest that we've seen in a while.
And if I recall, I can remember some veterans at the house. Like one was a professor. Right? I mean, these are not just people that are down and out.
No.
They're having problems,
Yeah.
and I want to say taught out west somewhere, right? Did
He ended up
Is that-
moving to Tennessee
Yeah.
to teach college.
Yeah.
Math. He was a very bright guy. We have Liberty House is quite the home to a multitude of people.
Yeah.
We've had doctors, medical doctors. We've had professors. We've had very high-ranking officers
Yes.
that have stayed with us. Multiple.
I think one spoke a couple of breakfasts ago.
Yep, absolutely.
Very high ranking.
Yes. And so it really goes to show too that addiction doesn't discriminate.
Right, exactly. That's kind of what I
You
was
can be
going.
the smartest person in the world and things happen, life happens.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've had people that are still, we have a guy that's still, he just moved out actually, but he still puts on the uniform every day and goes to work out in Portsmouth.
Nice.
So it's incredible to see. And I think that's one of my favorite things about Liberty House is that it's such a wide range of ages and every branch and every career, and they're all there to support each other. Doesn't matter. We're here. We're all
Yeah.
here together.
Yeah,
beautiful.
that's great. I mean, that's it.
So, it's always fascinated me that Liberty House is here in Manchester and what it does, and it's very kind of focused mission on veterans. Are there equivalents in other states and other areas? Because this seems unique to us.
Yeah.
Have you encountered other
is
sober
pretty
living
unique.
homes, programs like this that you partner with in other states, or is
No.
this unique?
I think we're pretty
Yeah,
unique.
I
I
do
mean,
too.
we have had veterans come from all over the country that have lived with us.
Yeah.
And they all say there is nothing like this anywhere else.
So let me just stop it there for a
Yeah.
minute, because people need to know that they don't take any federal or state funding, and that makes them unique right there.
Right.
So they rely on the community and people, raising money for them and things like that. But
Yeah, that's really important, the state and federal funding. We stepped away from that
And why?
years ago because you
Hooks.
can't.
Yeah,
The hooks.
Yeah, you can't hold people accountable.
Right.
You take that federal funding, you have to follow Housing First.
Right.
And Housing First is a great model for a small portion of people. For us, we believe in accountability. We believe in action-oriented and moving forward. We are going to require people stay sober. We are going to do drug testing. We are going to hold you accountable.
I think that's part of what makes it successful.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And the other part that helps it to make successful is the fact that they are all vets, which means that every one of these individuals has gone through boot camp, and they've lived a portion of their life understanding what it means to follow the rules even when you're not being watched.
Yep.
And I think that helps it to to be successful,
Yep,
is that
absolutely.
your clientele is already somewhat predisposed or trained to think that way when you give them that structure.
Yep.
And some of them may just need that structure. They just, even as an adult, they're not able to control without someone else giving them the structure. I mean, there's nothing bad or terrible about that. Some people just need structure their
Yep.
entire lives.
Yep, absolutely. And I mean, and addiction is, it's crazy. You can be as strong-willed and as possible, but you still need that support. And it takes so long for the brain to heal after there's been use. And we want to give them that foundation to get them back on track. So giving that structure, giving them that support, giving them the ability to be independent but still be able to ask for help when necessary. It just...
I would like to see, I don't know if it's too early in the Liberty House's lifespan, or I would like to see this success repeated elsewhere, right? If there was
Like the
some
best
way
practices.
that
Yeah.
you could train this and say, okay, here's how we do it for vets in New Hampshire. Let's see if we can do this for vets in Florida. Let's see if we can do this for vets in Virginia. And in addition to that, maybe demonstrate to the public sector that, hey, private sector knows how to do this without federal funds, without these rules, and let's see if we can repeat this with, a civilian organization. Is there? I don't know. I just
Yeah.
think that the administrators and the folks like you who have spent all this time perfecting this system, this methodology of helping people, if there was some way that you could train or just expand that knowledge, get it out there so that other organizations can do the same and be successful at it
I
too.
think the hard part is the funding piece. That's why people always go to the feds, because they can get the money.
Right.
And for us, it's just not worth it. We would rather fundraise
that's
all day,
part of
every
it, though,
day.
is let's teach you how to do this type of fundraising without relying on government money.
It's hard.
right?
Yeah, and it's not only hard with the fundraise, but it's hard to convince people of that.
And there we get to the veteran story, right?
Yeah.
The story is a good story that helps,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
So
Yep. Yeah, it's hard. It's hard. I mean, I think we do a fantastic job. I'm a little biased because I love what we do. But I think it could be replicated. I think it just takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of extra energy.
one of
I
the
mean-
keys is the word you already used, and that's accountability. And we don't see that in a lot of government-funded programs.
Well, and
is
it-
the accountability.
Correct.
It takes the people with her energy and the reason why she does it, and it takes that kind of a person. That's where you got to start
There's
with.
one thing. I mean, I'm not. It is a rarity, but there are lots of people that have that type of energy that are out there. They just haven't found their spot.
Well, yeah, that's
Right.
part of it.
So
Yep.
Were there any people in your family that were veterans? I always wanted to ask you that. Did you?
My whole family.
Oh, there
yeah,
you go.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. My both my grandfathers, all my uncles. Yeah, my father. Yep.
And
Military
so
is very big.
you graduated from where? Where did you graduate from?
From high
Co-
school,
no,
college?
from college.
So I have a couple places. I have.
You went back to school.
Yeah, yes, many times. So I have a degree in criminal justice. I have a degree in human services, and then I have a degree in strategic leadership. So
Nice.
all local. I'm all New Hampshire schools.
Yeah.
So
And you used to pitch softball very fast. As I remember,
I did all right,
I
yeah.
remember our softball games, and she was warming up, and the guys on the other side were going, "Oh, we better not bat against this person."
Oh yes, back in the day.
Yeah.
My high school days. Yep. Yep. So I grew up here in Manchester, but it's funny growing up here in Manchester, coming from a veteran family. I never knew Liberty House existed.
Right.
I did not learn about Liberty House until I was well into college and working in my first nonprofit that I became connected with Liberty House. And that was in 2016. And Liberty House opened in 2004.
Yeah.
So I grew up riding my bike at the VA here in Manchester. I grew up right down the street. Had no idea that this place even existed. And I think you'd be surprised at how many people still say,
Don't know. Yeah.
"You've been around, you've been here for how long?" And
Yeah.
I'm just learning about you.
Yeah.
So we're trying our best to get the word out.
so are we.
So are we. But it's, I think we have seen growth. I mean,
Absolutely.
We would like to see a lot, I keep saying we, but they would like to see a lot more of that. And
Yeah.
I think the fact that we, talk about it a lot, even when they're not here, I think that's important. And it's interesting to me that people still don't know about it.
I
That
know.
drives me nuts.
Yeah.
And you're doing a good job. I think Catholic Charities had some commercials,
Yeah.
and I mean they're doing their part of
Absolutely.
it. But they're not run by Catholic Charities. That's another thing people should know.
Yeah.
that-
We are a program of Catholic Charities. They are wonderful. We merged with them back in 2019. They've been a great connection, a great resource, a great kind of parent company to us. They really stay out of kind of the day-to-day operations.
Yep.
That's kind of our niche, our thing. We're very lucky. We have such a wonderful team. We have such a small team. I mean, we only have 4 full-time employees. 4 full-time, 4 part-time. So we're a very lean organization, hence why we put in so much extra effort into the fundraising and
Yeah.
the after-hours work that we do.
Yeah, and if you're going to donate, you have to identify Liberty House as who you want to donate to. So if you
Yes.
go to an event that Catholic Charities has
Yep.
put on, like their Mardi Gras or whatever,
Yep.
if you want to donate to them, you need to make sure the check says Liberty House. on
Liberty
it.
House, yeah.
Otherwise, it goes into a general fund, and
Yep.
then it's separated from there. It still works that way,
Yep,
I believe,
absolutely.
right? Yeah.
Yep.
So
So we have-
they've kind of brought it to the forefront too. I mean, I
Absolutely.
can remember some of the first golf tournaments we had where I don't even know how we got
Yes, that
through some,
Hidden
make our own
Valley.
sandwiches, and and now it's sold out
Yeah,
every year
every
at
year. Stonebridge.
Stonebridge,
Yep,
and
in
it's sold
Goffstown.
out all the time,
Yep.
and they do pretty well there with
Yep.
that. Not just the players,
That was a
but
huge thank you to Dave Hildenbrand,
Yeah.
who's our CFO of
Yeah.
Catholic Charities.
Yeah.
He's a veteran. At
and
the
his,
time
and his
that
kids are too, right?
Yeah,
Or
at the
they're in
time that we
military.
merged with them, they were all active duty, which was amazing.
Yeah.
So he has been a huge contributor to our success and the transition.
Yeah, he's really the guy that kind of opened the door for us. You know, I mean, we would love to have met with the head of Catholic Charities, Tom Blonsky, but we had no way to do it, you know, other than screaming and yelling and, you know, being outside with, you know, signs or something. But Dave came along. He was an ambassador, I believe.
He was, yeah.
And then,
he started off as
and then we find out
volunteer.
that he can open a door for us. And, you know, Jeff did a great job, and Dave, you know, brought this to the forefront, which you're right. We're very fortunate. We were blessed to have that kind of a
Just
setup.
all fell into place so beautifully. It was like it was meant to be.
Yeah, I think it was.
Absolutely, yep. And we're hoping to continue to grow. I mean, just going from West Baker to where we are on Orange Street now has been a huge transition, and we have been able to help so many more people. I think we've housed over 400 veterans since 2004. So it's unbelievable. But really, we're just hoping to expand even more.
So what do you see is expansion? Like right now, you have 18 residents.
Yep.
Are you at capacity?
Yes.
So you're at capacity at 18. When you say expand, are we talking about another facility?
Yeah. Yep, that's our dream. We would love to have another facility. So currently the way our program works is that we have 16 beds in our regular program, regular as in that they're with us for a year and going through the 4-step model. And then we have 2 units that have a resident each unit, so 2 more people that make the 18 in our Step Up program. And so with that Step Up program, really it's a chance for guys to be mentors to some of the newer guys. It also gives them another year in the program. Gives them more independence, so they, like these guys don't have a curfew. They pay rent on a sliding scale. They're able to do kind of more in the community without having the overhead as some of our other guys. So what we really want to do is take that program and move it off-site for one and expand it. So really...
So you have more folks that have that opportunity to be Step Up.
Yes.
To be the mentors.
Yes. Yep. To be mentors, to still have that support, but have the independence. I mean, when we look at how long it takes the brain to heal after extended use, it's years. So for our guys, when they're only with us for a year, yes, it's a great foundation, but they need more time. But at that point, they're starting to get the itch where I would like a little more independence, I'm ready to go. So if we can then take that program, move it off-site, and still give them support and accountability, but the independence piece, having their own units, really giving them the opportunity to pay rent, to pay for bills, and all of that, I think that's a crucial piece.
Do you have any thoughts or, you know, we talked about this a long time ago about women veterans and family veterans who need help?
Yeah, I thought we talked about having women.
Yep, so that is kind of where the women veterans would fall into place too. They wouldn't necessarily be able to come into our transitional housing because it's all shared living, but in this kind of next step of Step Up, they would be individual units. So we'd be able to have females have their own units and have that supportive housing. So that's our goal. I'm really hoping within the next few years it's something that we can do.
Have you thought about, are you looking for a facility that already exists and renovate like you did here, or building a new facility?
We're open to anything. Yeah, we've been looking at different options, and price-wise. It would be cheaper to renovate an existing building, but trying to find that building that meets our needs and our wants really has proven a little bit difficult.
Especially now in this
the
time we're in now, it's got to be really hard.
Yep, absolutely.
And would you be looking to remain in Manchester, or are you open to other facilities?
I think we would go probably a little bit on the outskirts of Manchester. I think the biggest thing for us is that our main hub is here. And we want to make sure that the connection.
I would think that you would have to keep it here.
Yeah,
I mean,
and then
because right. I mean, we've talked about the homeless situation, and it seems to center around the city, right?
That's where the resources are.
Yeah, that's. I was just going to say
right?
that's where
and
the resources are. Buses.
That has to be the starting point, right? So you would have to stay here, and that's where I was getting at. It's like, are you talking about moving outside? You know, a bigger facility, move it outside of the city, or are you going to keep a place here?
I think when we say potentially moving outside of the city, I think we would think like maybe Hooksett, maybe Auburn, Bedford. I think that's as far as we would really be going,
Yeah,
though.
yeah.
I think the ultimate goal would be stay here in Manchester.
Yeah.
So
Because guys have to get to work,
Correct.
and
The
they have all
VA
the
is
facilities.
here.
The VA, right?
Yep.
Exactly. So it's an ideal spot,
Yep.
really.
Yep.
I
So-
can't believe how fast this
Oh
time
my
went.
goodness.
We still got a couple of minutes.
Yeah, we still do.
So tell us, did we talked? We got the golf tournament that's in June of every
Yep.
year?
Yep.
So that
Army,
sells
Navy.
out every year.
Yep. This year
Breakfast.
we're going to have a luau.
Oh, that's right,
Yeah,
yeah.
so this past year we celebrated 20 years in service. We had our 20th anniversary, and we did a 1920s Great Gatsby themed fundraiser.
Oh, that's right.
And that was really fun.
And it was a lot
And everybody
of fun.
ordered their stuff from Amazon, so everybody had the same hat. The guys had the same hats,
all
in fact,
dressed up.
right?
It was awesome.
Yeah, but
I
if you
was-
look at pictures from that era, everybody had the same hat anyway.
Exactly how it was, yeah. I was so impressed at how much people dressed up
They
and
loved
how
it.
everyone loved it. So we decided this year we're going to do a luau. So that's going to be at the beginning of September, so September of 2025. It's going to be held at the Service Credit Union headquarters in Portsmouth. And so we'll have some music, some food, drinks,
Yeah.
auction items, and just be another fun fundraiser.
Yeah, but there's a lot of other things that go on. I mean, the breakfast is like,
Yep, every year we do our Veterans Day breakfast. It's the Saturday before Veterans Day, and so that's a really special event.
Yeah.
So that we have usually one of our current residents speak and kind of tell their story, which is always
it's always heartbreaking. It's
always heartbreaking.
But you feel
God.
great when he's done. You
I've
know?
heard
It's
the
like-
stories a million times, and as soon as they get up there, I'm like bawling.
Yeah.
It's beautiful with a keynote speaker, and that's always a big fundraiser too for our guys. And then we just had our Christmas tree jubilee, which was a lot of fun.
And then
so-
other organizations help them out, like
Yep.
the Marine Bikers, I
Yep,
can't
we have
remember names.
motorcycle runs that go
Motorcycle runs,
on,
and so which you
and,
should go on if you haven't.
so
What
all
was
of
it?
those.
I was just out with my wife and friends, and we stumbled into a fundraiser at.
Stumbled into a fundraiser.
It was Auburn Pits.
Oh, right.
Yeah, at the Auburn Pits, right? Last year, and I spent a lot of money on t-shirts.
Good going.
Yeah, all of our events can be found on our website, libertyhousenh.org, if anyone is interested in checking that out, as well as our Facebook. Our Facebook is definitely our most up-to-date information, events, stuff going on. So people can check that out, Liberty House on Facebook.
Okay. What else? Liberty House, Facebook, like we got all of that out of the way. I notice on your website you still have the Army Navy game listed.
Yes. Yep.
But that's been
Saturday.
canceled.
That, yes,
for
unfortunately was canceled on
administrative
Saturday.
reasons.
Yeah, yep. So we're sad about that because it's going to be a really good game.
Yeah.
So
Go Navy, beat Army.
yeah, who are you voting for? I still have my Army
I
jersey
know
too.
you do. I'm sure you do. Jeff Chittister, a little background. Jeff Chittister and I worked with them at the first one we had was at Murphy's.
Yep.
And that was, I mean, we did okay. It was fun. Everybody liked it, and we did it again. And then I got dragged into it, not dragged into, but I was able to become, part of the group, and so that was really cool. But people need to understand that to look at the list of, I think that's really important, the list of things you need. Because as Ashley said, as the weeks go on, it changes. And, in the winter, there are women that still, they knit socks for them and hats. And so people are getting involved in their own way,
Yep,
which I think
absolutely.
is great. So it's a community thing as well,
Yes.
which I think is really important.
Yes.
All right, I think that's all the time we have for now. I mean, it really went fast.
It went very fast.
We always
fast,
we
yeah.
always say that.
And Ezra is sound asleep now, so he's
is.
not ready to go yet.
Ezra's he's done.
Well, thanks
So-
for coming in.
Thanks for
bringing
having us.
Ezra.
Absolutely.
And it's always good to talk to you.
Thank
You've done
you.
a great job there,
Thank
and
you.
so has the staff. I mean, it's been tremendous growth.
We're so lucky. It's unbelievable. People come in and they're like, "This is a job," and it's like, "Yeah." I mean, we have the best job in the world. We work with the best guys, and
Yeah.
we're very, very lucky.
All right. Well, thank you for everything that you do.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching. Next week is our Christmas show, and we're taking a break. And so happy holidays.
Merry
We'll
Christmas.
see you next week.